What's up, everyone? I have a fun game for you today. I've revived my Iain St3rling deck, the Overmind and E3 feedback implants with grappling hook, slow deck against a fast advanced NBN deck. So, can I compete against the speed that NBN poses, or will my slow play actually help me out in the end? We shall see. Now, his first move was very queer indeed. It makes me think he's trying to quickly score an Astro script. He left R&D wide open, and this is where I capitalize. I run the completely vulnerable R&D and score 2 agendas off the back of it, one of which is a very important Astro script. I think this is a demonstration that most players should adopt. You do not simply hold yourself into a particular gameplay style just because your deck was constructed for it. My deck is meant to play slowly by building up my resources, but even then, I still take the time out to challenge his open remote. You have to adapt the way your opponent performs, and in this case, my opponent gave me the opportunity to access cards for free, and so I leverage on it without any fear. This is very important to do. As I said in my previous video, you don't simply play solitaire in Netrunner. You must adapt to your opponent's gameplay, and because of this, I'm able to score 4 agenda points, more than half of what I need to win the game. Of course, this sets me back quite far because he was able to mid-seasons me, effectively wiping quite a bit of my credit pool. But at the end of the day, I still get 4 points off the back of it, and now I can start building up my economy engine while he struggles with an empty score pile. The melange is working heavily in his favor because he's able to get very good click efficiency for money off the back of that melange, meaning that that was why his mid-seasons was so successful. Otherwise, he would not be able to mid-seasons me because I started with a very powerful show gamble. Alright, so now I'm having a bit of trouble recovering my economy. I only find a single underworld contact as my only source of income. There are no Kitty Jones, there are no Trimouth contracts, so I'm in a bit of a pickle here. On the other side of the board, he is clicking for melange credits most of the time, which I'm very happy to allow him to as Iain St3rling, because if he's clicking for melange credits, it means he's not doing anything else. He's not threatening a score, he's not fortifying his servers, he's simply getting more money, which I don't really care about. And so, off the back of reacting from his play, when I saw him install the double ice remote along with a card in it, I presume it's an agenda. So I installed the logos, which I drew luckily on my third click. This allowed me to draw a very important card from my deck to tutor something off the back of him scoring an Astro script. So this was a very huge play. I was very tempted into drawing the data dealer because I really needed the economy, but I knew that money would come to me sooner or later. What was more important now was to slow him down because I understand how fast NBN can score agendas, especially with a scored Astro script on the table. So I decided to play the safe route by installing the source. So looking at what he's doing right now, I assume that's a Bill or an Astro script with 1 agenda counter on it so that he can score it next turn. I thankfully draw into my data dealer, which I quickly use to get myself a huge burst of credits. Now I can threaten him with an Overmind and whatever interface of my choice. I have both R&D and HQ to choose from. I can choose either of them. Now he makes a very clear play in response to my source. He double advances that agenda in the remote and ices up 1 more layer to protect the agenda. So that really gets me thinking. I have a lot of credits now, maybe I should contest the agenda. I was hoping to draw into... Actually, I'm not sure what I was trying to draw into. Anyway, yes, so I decided that I could not let him score that agenda because by the looks of it, it seems to be a build that is trying to overscore. So if he gets a 5 advanced build off, that's 3 points, it will put him on match point, trash my source, and he could very well score another 3-2 from his hand the next turn to win the game. I was having none of that. So I challenged the server, and the first thing he did was to res the Draco and pump it to 12 strength. This was a huge mistake that he made, because all I needed to do was ask him to run the trace, and suddenly he realized that there was no keeping me out. Because he pumped all his money into bumping the Draco, he wasn't able to stop me with the trace, and I'm able to move on, break the wraparound. It is pretty costly because I did not install my breach, but hey, whatever it takes to get through the server, I'm pretty sure it's an agenda. And not only is it a build, it's actually a restructured data pool. So not only do I deny him of that 3 agenda points, I actually score 3 agenda points myself, and I prevent him from getting the trace 2 ability on the restructured data pool, which is pretty huge. I do not want to be tagged. So I continue building myself up by drawing even more cards with Mr. Lee. Right now I'm looking very good, and even though I'm not using Iain's ID ability at all, the 2 credits per turn, I couldn't care less because I'm at match point already. I'm very close to victory. I can smell it. And I don't really need the credits because I've just drawn into 2 of my underworld contacts, so it's looking very good for me. The longer he tries to drag out this game, the more credits I'll gain, and the worse it will look for him. He has been spending the past turn clicking for credits with Melange, so that buys me time to set up my underworld contacts. This is looking very good for me. Alright, now he tried to score another agenda. I'm thinking whether I can contest the agenda and decide that it's probably not worth it. Thankfully, I have a lot of breathing room. He's only on 2 agenda points, so I can allow him to freely score the agenda while solidifying my position in the game. At the back of my mind, I still keep in mind that I am still able to gain a burst 9 credits anytime I wish with Data Dealer. I still have another breaking news which I can data deal out, and that is very important. That burst credits can really make the difference between getting through a server and ending the run with my overmind. Alright, so he scores the agenda in the server. Turns out it's a market research. So now he's on 4 points. He's not really on match point yet. Thankfully, it's not another Astro script. That would be quite bad for me. So anyway, now that he scored the market research, I can tutor another card out. I was very, very tempted to go for the calling in favors because that would be worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 credits, 7 burst credits if I summon the calling in favors. But instead, I decided to end the game by clearing his HQ, using Sneak Law and HQ interface to run twice on his unguarded archives. So I have a look at 4 different cards in his hand. Out of all 4 cards, none of them were agendas. So immediately, there were 5 cards in his hand. I accessed 4 of them. All of them were not agendas. And judging by how he's playing, I'm pretty sure he has no agendas in hand. Whatever is in that remote right now is probably something that he drew off the top of R&D. So now I data deal out the other breaking news and make a run into R&D. I need those credits to ensure that I get past whatever nasty ice he has on R&D, probably a toll booth. Well, that's a flare. Flare is probably better than toll booth because it actually taxes me for less. So I break it with Overmind. And a measly pop-up window. That was pretty expected because that was his knee-jerk response to me getting 4 points off the top of R&D. And I find the private security force that wins me the game. So that was a very, very interesting game and something you definitely wouldn't expect as Ian Sterling. I played unusually aggressive this game and it worked out heavily in my favor. Granted, I got very, very lucky in the opening turns because I managed to deny him one of his 3 Astro scripts while scoring 2 breaking news for myself to be used as fuel for Data Dealer. I think a lot of you will look at this video and say, hey, cool, good job, but Iain Sterling's ID ability did not come into use into this game at all. I never ever benefited from the 2 credits per turn from it. So isn't it better to construct this deck using another ID in the criminal faction? But this is not the point. The point is that having this ID on the board scares the court into a state of passive play. He is forced to play passively by going for building up his economy and getting to a point where he can score many agendas within a short period of time in order to win, as opposed to slowly scoring out Astro scripts, slowly scoring out his agendas as and when he can, because that will trigger my ID ability. On the other hand, I'm not completely relying on my ID ability for economy. In fact, as I demonstrated clearly in this game, I can do without it. The thing is, it is simply a fallback in the event that I do not top deck any agendas through my early R&D access. And this is a mistake, or rather a trap that most players fall into. When you look at Iain St3rling's ID ability, the first thing you think of is, hey, I must slow play the game. I must build up my big rig of resources. That is not necessarily true. You should play aggressively and leverage off this early aggression to fuel your further advances in the game, especially with Data Dealer as a card in the card pool. This further encourages you to go all out to score agendas early on, because they can fuel your late game that much more. While I definitely got lucky with the 4 early agenda points this game, I think my corp opponent did not really respect the power of having 20 credits in my credit pool and having the possibility to use a data dealer to gain a burst 9 credits. He attempted to score the restructured data pool in a server that was not all that secure at all, and that I think was the real turning point, because when I stole the 3 agenda points and denied him from scoring those 3 agenda points and getting the tagging ability, that was when I think I truly won the game. Well, so much for that. It was a very interesting game indeed, and thankfully I managed to avoid all the means that he had to land tags on me, because when I saw the Ghost Branch in his hand, wow, if that remote server had been a Ghost Branch, things would have been so much more different. Thanks for watching anyway. This was a great game, and I hope you enjoyed it. Happy net running.